Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Tumsia and with me here today is
Dr. A.S. Muhammad.
Dr. A.S. Muhammad is an equine practitioner here in Kaduna. The equine practice generally fascinates me, even as a veterinarian. And it's an industry I really want people to know about, not just people, but veterinarians. I know we all know what equine medicine is, we all know what equine practice is, but it's an industry that has not gained 20% of its potential. There is so much opportunity in this industry with little veterinarians venturing into it. So we'll be having a discussion around the equine practice with Dr. A.S. Muhammad. I'll be asking him a few questions, and hopefully at the end of this, I know a lot of young vets would want to venture into equine practice. That's the whole idea, that's the goal. So I want you to hear from him and everything he does, his challenges, the opportunities, and the risk involved. So Dr. A.S. Muhammad, can you tell us about yourself and then yourself as an equine practitioner?
Yes, my name is Dr. A.S. Muhammad. I'm a graduate of veterinary medicine from Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. Okay. I've been in the equine practice for 5 years now. Okay. I did an internship with Fifth Choker Polo Club under the supervision of Dr. P.W. Michelia, that's Philip Wayuta Michelia. And I did another year internship under Dr. Ede Richard Emmanuel from Barbados Polo Group in Kaduna. So yes, what fueled my penchant to be a veterinarian, an equine veterinarian, is the passion my first teacher put through teaching me what equine practice is really about. So the passion, the zeal, and then how enthusiastic he was about making us debunk the myths about equine practice made me want to venture in it. And then the fact that there's still a virgin aspect of the veterinary practice that has barely been explored. So to a very reasonable extent, veterinarians are actually blank when it comes to equine practice because the curriculum is bulky, and then you really don't have enough time to really study all these animals during your school year. So at the end of the day, you come out seeking mentorship and then motivation to really go into the equine practice. So reasonably, veterinarians have a very, very big loophole as to exploring the potentials in the equine industry. As we speak, we have over 200,000 horses in Nigeria, and then very, very few veterinarians that are available to tend to their medical needs.
I don't think we have up to 30, 50?
If I'm counting in my head, and if I'm counting rightly, I doubt if you have up to 20 specialized equine practitioners in Nigeria. Yeah. So virtually, conditions come up in horses, and then most times as a result of their predisposition, they mostly end up on slaughter slabs because a good chunk of the practitioners are quacks and grooms, and then they've been there for a very long time, and then most of the horse owners tend to put in trust and confidence in them for the fact they've been around horses for a very long time. So veterinarians really have to launder their images, equine veterinarians, and then up their practices, and then fuel the passion in the younger veterinarians to see the potentials in equine practice and venture into it.
Wow.
Yes.
Because for me as a veterinarian, the equine practice fascinates me in the sense that I'm scared. I'm scared because I just feel like getting close to them, I might just receive a kick and that'll be the end of me.
Yes.
But over, I think about 2 years now, I've been around quite a number of horses, not tending to them as a veterinarian, but business-wise. And I've realized that the quacks are just everywhere. You know, they're everywhere in the sense that people don't even acknowledge that there are actually equine specialists.
Yes.
Somebody told me, he said, you people don't even want to attend to our horses, so you leave us with no choice.
Yes.
So what I feel, what I think is, other than the fact that there is no mentorship, these horses are strong, but they're fragile.
Yes.
I served with NDA, the equitation wing, and I was exposed to how fragile horses, like something that strong, just came down because of a slight mistake. So they are that fragile.
Yes.
So I think while studying equine medicine, that is something we're told. So I think it puts fear in the minds of young graduates.
Yes.
You know. So what do you think they need to debunk that fear?
You need presence. Yeah, for you to conquer the fear of horses, you need to be around them. Then you need to be able to know how they think and how they react to gestures from you.
They are social animals.
Yeah, they are quite social, but the fact that they were domesticated and then they are actually hunted for food by carnivores in the wild tends to make them skittish.
Okay.
So they tend to react to virtually every move around them, and then the fact that you really need to understand how they think is one of the first steps towards breaking that phobia for horses. So when you get around horses and then you tend to really relate with them very well, you know that horses don't just kick like triggers. There are signs that will show you that a horse is not comfortable with you being around him or her.
Wow.
So they don't just kick like that. There are major markers you see, there are red flags you see if you are very conversant with them, and you will know what your zone is and what the red lines are, and then you know when to and when not to cross them. So yes, horses being strong, yes, they're very strong, and then strength from a human being cannot really equate to how much you need to put in to subdue them or to attend to them. They are gentle creatures, yes, big and graceful. They actually have their own a mind of their own, and then they have a very, very big territorial guidance. So they have that space. So for you to cross that territory, they ought to have earned your trust.
Wow.
And then you have to not be scared. So if you must do the work and do it well, the phobia has to be the least concern you have, putting in mind that you can die from a kick from a horse.
Okay, that's scary.
Yes.
But at the same time, you've given tips to approach and conquer the phobia, which I know that is what a lot of vets have.
Yes.
I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yes.
Because I know back then in school, during large animal medicine, we had a horse, and my friend said, I'm Tika, of course. She said I should stand in front. I'll be able to absorb, the heat from the horse. We were literally, like just a few of us were actually able to touch the horse. But at the same time, if there are tips and ways to approach a horse,
yes,
to make sure the kick doesn't happen and every other thing, then it's a sector to venture into. But then again, what are the benefits and opportunities in this sector? Because anywhere I see opportunities and benefits, you expect a group of people to flood that sector. But unfortunately, that's not what we're seeing with the equine sector. Yes,
horses have grown to become companions to humans. So some people keep horses as pets. Some people keep them as for show of rank. Some people keep them as to show influence. Then traditional rulers, like mainly from the northern part of Nigeria, keep them as parts of the royal circle. So opportunities abound in the equine practice, a lot of opportunities. And I think the only way we can really harness these opportunities are if the horses are there for us to attend to. So when you have cases whereby horses die from ordinary, very simple conditions, they will dwindle. So they will just go, and then you find out that you just have very few horses to attend to. And then when you have very few horses to attend to, that kind of breaks down virtually every other value chain that can be attributed to harnessing the potentials in the equine practice. So first, let's keep them alive. Let's keep them active. That's the first step. So keeping them active it's a very big responsibility. The responsibility veterinarians are saddled with, because to a reasonable extent, they have to up their games on practice, stable management, nutrition, podiatry, equine dermatology, ophthalmology, and then osteology. That's orthopedics.
Yes.
So virtually everything the horse ventures into as sport exposes him to risks of injuries, and the injuries don't come easy. So when you see people say openly that a fractured horse is a dead horse, only happens in this part of the country. Outside Nigeria, there are ways whereby fractured horses may not necessarily come back to play fully, but they are salvaged. They are kept alive because of the facilities available. So the technical know-how is one part, and then accessories. Horses are very expensive. Virtually everything that has got to do with horses are expensive. So if you are going to be in that circle, you can delve into entrepreneurship. It could be equine nutrition. It could be into bringing in accessories for horses. And then the practice itself is gratifying.
Wow.
Yes.
That was one part I'm sure a lot of people want to hear.
Yes.
Especially, should I say, the monetary gratification.
Yes.
It's encouraging. You know, it keeps us going. So is it something that is available in that sector?
Yes, to a
Maybe that will help some people
to
get rid of the phobia.
To a reasonable extent. If you're not willing to do more than you're being paid for, you will never be paid for more than you're willing to do.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't just start. The gratification doesn't start at once. The monetary gratification. You have to be able to solve problems. You have to be able to go far and beyond for these horse owners. The traditional rulers and then the local horse keepers might not really be able to pay the fees. So you up your practice by helping them out most times. That's what launders your image and then shows how much you can do. That's just on one side. Then secondly, when your practice is passion driven,
Passion.
you might not necessarily get whatever you make from your practice from what you do for them. There are instances where I go to work for people and I charge them 60,000 naira and they pay me 120, 150. They are now paying you for how much they appreciate your service and not just for your service. So if you put the monetary aspect in front of the passion and then your ability to care and heal, you might not get the gratification because you tend to work within the limit or confines of how much you're being paid.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But when your passion to care is being fueled by that penchant, they see the enthusiasm in you into solving their problems, and then they tend to appreciate you more, and then you get the monetary gratification, and then you enjoy doing your work. So these are the two aspects that actually come together. But veterinarians are noble people. If we're to be doing what we're doing for the monetary gratification, I'm sure there are not going to be any vets anymore in the country because we are underutilized and underappreciated, grossly underutilized.
Yes, yes.
So to a very reasonable extent, you have to know and then love what you do.
So you have to be passion driven.
Yes.
Okay. Because for me, it's really interesting. I saw the Kano Durbar procession this year, and the number of horses I saw got me thinking, who is taking care of these horses? Who is making sure these horses stay alive? And then I answered myself because I've experienced it firsthand. The grooms and the quacks who grew up in the stable, seeing their grandfathers do, see their, you hear grooms challenging doctors.
Yes.
In terms of practice. I've seen that firsthand.
Yes.
And it was heartbreaking for me.
Yes.
Compared, seeing the number of veterinarians we have in Nigeria and seeing a sector that has not been explored. Because for me, like, veterinarians are yet to scratch the surface when it comes to equine practice.
Yes.
So the space is there to accommodate as many as it can, as long as you're ready, as long as you're passion driven in the first place. Just make sure you're doing what you're doing because you love what you're doing, not because you feel big people own horses and they're going to pay me plenty money. That shouldn't be your drive. All right, so you mentioned along the conversation about getting kicked, but I want you to categorically state the risks and the challenges you face in this. Challenges in the sense, physical challenges, professional challenges you face, and you can just name a few of them.
The risks are actually palpable. They are much. The hazards are kind of real. Horses can do a lot of bad things to you. Horses can bite. Horses can hit you with their heads. Horses can kick. Horses can maul you, and then horses can do a lot of dangerous things to you, especially when you don't know how to approach them. This is my 5th year, and I think the closest I've gotten to being kicked by a horse was just once, and then I actually ignored a direct order. My supervisor always tells me, always leave an escape route. Make sure there is an escape route. Don't enter the stable with the horse and then close the door. Because once you're confused, you won't be able to get out. And then the more scared you are, the more you scare the horse. And then the chances that you get injured will be higher. But even when you make certain mistakes and then you are calm and composed, chances of you getting out unscathed is kind of higher. So once you're nervous before you even got in, and then you got in and locked up yourself, chances that you're not going to come out alive are high. And then damages can be really bad. I've seen veterinarians being kicked in the head. I've seen veterinarians being beaten by horses, terrible bites, and then when they bite the skin off with what you're wearing.
Yes.
So they tend to pick you up with their head because they are strong, and then their kicks are not something you want to think about wherever they hit you. So I think the closest shave I've gotten was almost getting kicked, but I was close to a wall and I dodged quickly. So you have to really have your dexterity close. You have to be really alert when you're around horses, not too alert to scare them. So I was able to dodge the kick and she hit the wall, and I saw where she hit at the wall, and then it was a stamp.
Then sometimes
like she broke the wall with her kick because she was wearing steel shoes. So it can be that bad. But at the end of the day, what's important is be calm yourself. The handler, you've got to be calm, and then you have to work with the grooms. Yes, most times they are not really people that are really kept, they are not civilized, they're not educated. You have to really show them that you are in this with them, you're together, you're trying to achieve the same goal. So to a reasonable extent, once you're working with them, they tend to earn your confidence, and they tend to tell you about the animals before you approach them.
They can tell you
instances,
their behavior. Yes,
yes,
you go
their
to the
behaviors.
stable, they tell you.
They tell you, oh, that lady is crazy, approach her carefully. Oh, that guy is mad, approach him carefully. So sometimes they tend to restrain for you to perform certain activities. This doesn't mean you should stay away from them while they do these things. While they restrain you, watch the way they do it, because there are instances you have to handle these animals without experienced people. When you're in that space, you're going to be in the position to tell them what you want them to do for you. So that's one. So the other aspects of
the challenges
I face are equipments. So because there are certain things you want to do, but you are limited. It's either you don't have the equipment, or what you improvise is not giving you what you want. That's one. Then secondly, balancing my life and my practice. I have about 79 horses under my care as we speak, and then I still go into certain places for single owners. So horses can come down with problems at any time. Sometimes I have to leave my house as early as 1 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes I don't go to sleep with my phone switched off because I'm scared something might happen, there might be an emergency. So you being able to manage and balance your lifetime and your work time is important, or else you're not going to progress in either fields.
Yeah.
So opportunity, the risks, those are the risks. You can get injured, terribly injured. And then
your challenges, you talked about equipment.
Yeah, equipment.
What about professionally, like
professionally, yes. To a reasonable extent, I think veterinarians are owed an internship in Nigeria. You don't just get fresh out of school and then learn on the job. If you have an opportunity to be interns and then you're able to specialize and choose your field of practice, you tend to do better. So if internship opportunities are available for veterinarians and you venture into equine practice, you're going to be placed under supervisors that will teach you what to do and how to go about doing it. So internship opportunities are quite part of the challenges veterinarians are facing because you tend to learn on the job. I was fortunate to have worked with two very nice people, and then they actually put me through and they made me who I am today. And I'm looking forward to lifting some other young ones, but we're just too few. So the training is not there, the enlightenment is not there, and the fears are big. Most of them are myths, and then they keep these students far away from horses.
So I want you to use this opportunity to put words out there, encouraging words to young aspiring veterinarians thinking or considering venturing into equine practice. Give out words to pull them in, encouraging words to pull them into this industry.
Yes, equine practice is an interesting field. Equine practice is beautiful. Equine practice makes you stand out. Equine practice tends to make you work like a general practitioner because you are kind of being groomed in other aspects of practice, veterinary practice, pet practice, large animal practice, but equine practice is kind of special. So if you add that specialty to what you have, you're kind of a general practitioner. For me, I won't say I'm a specialist in equine practice, but I kind of have a passion for the practice, and I'm looking forward to advancing towards that direction. But that doesn't mean I don't know how to attend to other animals. I venture into exotics, I venture into pet practice, I venture into aviary, poultry. I try fishery out sometimes, though I'm not very keen about fishery, but I love cats, so I venture into pets practice, like feline practice. So I have dogs, I love dogs too. I do rabbits, which is kind of exotic. So you can actually harness the potentials in equine practice because they are special creatures. You can't really dabble into their practice like treating them the way you treat cattle. They're kind of different. So when you pick up the differences in attending to horses and you add it to what you already have in other specialties, you're kind of a full veterinarian, and that's what makes you stand out and what makes you special. So dealing around horses is beautiful. They are gentle creatures, very gentle, if you know how to move around them. And then if you've ever been on a horse, you know that the kind of vibe you get from riding them is different from anything else. So there's this kind of attachment you have around horses that makes you want to always be around them. So you tend to feel their pains when they're uncomfortable, and that makes you want to go far and beyond into solving their problems. So that aside, the gratification, equine practice really pays. But you don't expect money from everybody. But when you are doing this thing because you want to do it and because it's noble, you tend to get two gratifications. One, you're having fun, and then you're making money having fun. So access to horses is one very big thing also, and access to owners of horses is another. So there are places I wouldn't venture going into just because I'm a veterinarian, but I can go to and I will be accepted and respected because I'm a horse veterinarian, because poor people don't keep horses. So poverty, not in terms of monetary terms. People that have the heart to keep horses are generous people. So they are happy people, they are big people. So I tend to pay them that respect, and what I get in return is times 2 or times 10 what I give them. So reasonably, being a horse vet, an equestrian, or an equine practitioner tends to put you on a particular pedestal that you stand and walk tall. So being a veterinarian is one thing, then being an equine or a horse vet makes you stand out and makes you special. So I'm looking forward to seeing younger minds coming into the practice and then asking for advice and then internship opportunities, as little as we can offer, and we will always be there for them. So it's a closed circle. If you want to access horses, you have to go through someone that's already with horses. So we can actually always pull you guys in, just like I was pulled in, and then we're going to make progress.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah. The equine practice sounds like a glorifying job. I remember being told they call polo the game of kings.
Yes.
So you can imagine having, I'm not saying just because you're hanging around big people, but it's good. You're having, as a veterinarian, you can't have access to a group of people. But being an equine vet, you have access to kings.
You launder the image of a profession.
Yes, you launder the image of the profession. You have access to kings, and as we call them, big people in the country. So I hope after listening to this, would have young vets considering to venture into equine practice. The industry needs you. There are too many horses. When I saw the double procession, I was wowed.
Yeah.
And the question kept coming, who is taking care of these horses? So we need you all to consider. We're not saying you should venture immediately after, but consider it. Make sure it's something you have passion for. And all you need is just the right person to hold you through the journey. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Dr. A.S. Mohammed. Though I like to call him Dr. Simpa. That's the S in the AS, right?
Yes.
I call him Dr. Simpa. It's been really interesting having this conversation with you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.